Hey guys, EDDBUD here, and welcome to the channel. Today I've got a top 10 video for you of the best daily running shoes that I've tested out in 2021 so far. So lots of shoes in the running in this countdown today. There's so many daily shoes that are released on a week-to-week basis. I've certainly had a good crop come through the EDDBUD pastures over the last 4 months. The first quadrimester, that's like a triannual review I suppose. A top 10 today, so let's get to it. It's going to be a long one. What I'll do is I'll keep the boxes clear as I slowly fill them up so you aren't inadvertently shown what the next shoe might be. Number 10 is the Adidas Ultra Boost 21. So this is a shoe I reviewed back in January now. Sadly I found this one has shrunk a little bit in the upper. I think it got very wet at one point and when it dried it just had shrunk. It's very strange, I've never had that happen to a shoe before. While it lasted though, I was quite enjoying the daily use of this shoe. A lot of people say, well yeah, it's quite heavy, it's quite an expensive one, but certainly for those easier efforts I found it great. I mean, I ran a half marathon in it and felt really good. The amount of cushion there was just right for me. Certainly in the forefoot area, it's a little bit leaner there, and overall upper comfort was top notch. Maybe as summer draws in I can get the thin socks out and get a few more miles into it. At least get it up to 50 miles, that'll be nice. Won't feel so sad for it then. So this is number 10 in today's rundown. Number 9 is the New Balance Fresh Foam 1080 V11. A shoe I gave an 86% score to when I initially reviewed it. Though, unfortunately I found it sadly lacking on longer runs. Just felt a little dead and perhaps uninspiring as I took it up further and further into the mileage. I just feel it's quite locked into that sort of easy to steady effort pace. I don't really want to run anything more than that in this shoe. It's not one I've really wanted to take out again and had any sort of excitement to utilise again. It was after that long run shoe test that I did in it, it just really knocked me for 6. Really felt the midsole's shortcomings on that one. It just, yeah, felt like a slog at the end. I haven't felt that in a long time. Perhaps a little too much upper there, just too much heftiness in the midsole. Just don't think it works for me. Also at 140 earth credits, it's a heavy price to pay. And there's other more versatile daily offerings. So at position 9, it's the New Balance Fresh Foam 1080 V11. We're at position 8, and that is occupied by the Adidas Solar Boost 3. Now I fully expect this one to only go one way in the next rundown that I do in about 4 months' time. I really did enjoy this shoe initially, though I can't really comment on it on perhaps a longer effort. It certainly worked well at steady and slightly faster paces. A lovely smooth ride and extremely comfortable upper, though again it's got a slightly heftier price tag. I think I'll up my value rating on it perhaps after that longer run. If it does well there, if it performs, then no doubt this shoe will go up the ratings. It's kind of like in the 80s when songs used to appear in the chart at number 30 or something and then they slowly go up. I think that's what's going to happen with this shoe. It's not like I gave it a bad score. I think I gave it an 83% score after my initial runs. I think that value will go up after some longer range sorties, so stay tuned, shoe fanciers. We're up to position 7 and it's the HOKA Only Mac 4. It's actually a shoe that's getting better and better the more and more I wear it. Really wasn't blown away with it, but recently, certainly after my COVID jab, this is the shoe I went to grab to get my first run in after those 2 days off. You know, I could have worn any shoe, but I chose this one. Fit's vastly improved now after I added in those white laces. They don't have as much give to them. This one's serving me well as my DRFD shoe, Daily Run Foot Defender. I like the midsole now. I'm starting to understand it. It's becoming one with me. I'm one with the midsole and the midsole is with me. It's sort of shaping itself like a comfortable sofa that never needs cushion adjustment. It's just perfect as you sit into it. I'm liking all its attributes so far. Only perhaps the slightly heftier price tag for a daily shoe. But then again, if it holds up in terms of durability, then we're gold. Oh, yeah, it's certainly taken a pounding. When it was wet as well. In fact, the outsole's looking kind of reminiscent of one of those scouring pads that you use at your kitchen sink. But it's working well at some standard aerobic miles, so it is doing its job, EDDBUD. So give that darn shoe a break. I think I gave it like a 9.2 out of 12 overall, but I'd say it's more a 10 out of 12 at least at this point. So maybe it will head upwards in the rankings in about 4 months' time. We're at position 6 now, and this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, I suppose, to put the rankings together. Position 6 is the Puma Velocity Nitro. So Puma have shown the world that cats are cool, and nitrogen is the name of the game. That rebound vest underfoot is actually quite stable, and then you got the little EVA heel wedge back here to improve it even further. It's really quite a different ride actually between this and the Liberate Nitro. It certainly still provides quite a lively ride for those who are willing to pay the admission fee. It's comfortable, it's roomy, and more than a capable match for the big five that are going to come after it. Maybe lacking the snap, crackle and pop for faster stuff, although saying that, I ran some quite fast miles in it this morning. It's no slouch, but nonetheless it is quite a value-priced running shoe for the rotation. I gave this a 91% score after my initial runs, and I don't think it's really budged much. It's still there. We'll see how it fares in 4 months. The shoe in position 5 of my top 10 daily running shoes of 2021 so far is the Reebok Float Ride Energy 3. Not once has this shoe faltered in its quest to show how Reebok really are one of the most underrated brands. They do mean business. You should really test this shoe out. There's very few people I know that have picked it up and found that they didn't like it. I gave it a 94% score after my initial runs, but it's certainly holding up well. I've been enjoying it. I've run some really fast miles in it. I've run some slower miles in it. All kind of daily stuff though. It's a nice shoe to throw on when you don't really know exactly what you want to do out there. When you just want to get out and get some miles in and see how you fare. I mean, what could you change? Maybe a slightly more fitting mesh upper. It's not a big deal though, especially for the price of the shoe. Super cheap and works at a myriad of paces. As such, I can recommend it. I think those factors alone really place it in the top 5 today. One of the best, most versatile daily shoes out there. Pick it up now or wait for the sale. You know Reebok have always got a sale coming up. The Float Ride Energy 3. Position number 4 is the Nike Air Pegasus 38. No real fanfare in the latest offering on the Pegasus lineup. I gotta be honest, I didn't have massive expectations for it, but since I've got it, I've put loads of miles into it. I think we're already at 42, 43, something like that. I've only had it a couple of weeks, something like that. And I'll quickly get to 100 miles in it. I just really enjoy running in it. Ample cushion, and it's appearing to be very durable thus far. The upper works really well from a lockdown perspective, much better than the first version. It's just a solid workhorse. Ticks all the boxes, but it does beg the question, how did they get the upper so wrong in the last version? Just stop tinkering with stuff, Nike. This works. It's a good one. So position 4 is the Pegasus 38. Into the top 3, and it's the Under Armour Flow Velocity Wind. Bonkers name, bonkers shoe. I mean, it just looks mad. It looks like someone's had fun with the graph paper. But this thing takes anything that you throw at it. I've run some very slow miles. I've ran some long miles, some faster miles, and just anything that you fire at it, it returns with a super powerful Federer-like volley, but twice as hard. Great upper fit, and I'm really loving the traction of that flow outsole, midsole, or whatever you want to call it. It's just all the same thing, and it's tantalizingly responsive as well. There's no super squish here. I really like slamming my foot down and feeling it kind of give the energy back. It's quite alluring. Also, you've got the built-in stats as well, which I really enjoy. You don't need your phone or anything like that. When you get back from the run, you can attach it to your phone, and it tells you how terrible your running form is, or it might be really good, you never know. I guess as long as you're running and you don't get injured and you feel good, and what's the problem, eh? That flow outsole midsole combo is the real deal, and it should be experienced if possible. And upper a little bit like the Endorphin Speed, but a midsole feel all of its own. Top 3 for sure on the daily vibes today. Right, just going to clear the decks behind me for the last 2. Position 2 is the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel 2. Vastly nimble, light, and forgiving. Though not really perhaps a daily shoe in everybody's books, I've used it as one and it works great. I think for myself and many other runners it could work really well. Perhaps if you need a little more stability, then the super squishy fuel cell material is not going to provide it, but it ticks most of the check boxes for me, certainly. Compressive, but still able to pick up the pace when you want it to. They did work superbly well on that long run a couple of weeks back. Perhaps a little bit too much so, actually. On the long run I wanted to go out at a more reasonable pace, but this wouldn't allow me to. Sizing is odd, you can't escape that, so do be very wary if you do pick the shoe up, but it feels so comfortable underfoot. Almost like a race feel, so you want it to be a little more constrictive, I suppose. Aside from just daily use, I suppose, one of the best shoes that I've reviewed in 2021 so far. It was quite difficult deciding which one to put on the top spot, but yeah. Number 2 is the Rebel 2. 2. Maybe some of you have guessed it, but in today's listing, Top spot is the Liberate Nitro from Puma. It's an absolute Elvis of a shoe. Elvis of a shoe. Well, not in all aspects of Elvis, I suppose. Maybe more a prince of a shoe. A mega light feline feast. The reverse of beast, in fact. One upper here that doesn't look comfortable, but it is on foot. Glove-like, but breathable. And one of the most versatile as well that I've utilised. Stunning grip across all surfaces. I just can't understand how they can produce this shoe for the price as well. One of the lightest in my collection, and I have a few. It just walks that tightrope so well between weight and cost, versatility and quality. It's really well put together. It does make it the best shoe I've reviewed actually of 2021 so far. I know we're looking at daily shoes today, but you can use it as such. It's been great over the longer runs at pace, but also on those easy 3-mile efforts. What more can you ask for? Do check this one out, it's hard to lose with the Puma Liberate Nitro right now. Hope you've enjoyed this rundown, guys. I'm going to ask you a question now. What is your top daily shoe right now? Let me know, good friends, down in the comments. I'll put all these shoes away now. Quick musical interlude for you. On the runs to really get me revved up. Aside from listening to some drum and bass recently, I've turned to the Bristol-based band Idols. Their album Joy is one of my favourites, and it has my favourite track that they've produced on there, which is called Danny Nadelko. That's why I like this track so much. It's very much talking about loving your neighbours, loving your brothers, loving your sisters. Doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what you look like, whether you got weird teeth, whether you're talking a certain way. If you're a good person, you're doing alright. In the past, people haven't really liked it when I got too political on here, so I won't get too political. I won't stray into that. In a time when there's real danger out there, everyone's got pulled together. And I really like the vibe of this tune. It's like a rallying call. If you've never heard them before, go and check them out, guys. Idols, they're pretty robust, but I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. It really helps the channel out as well in terms of that YouTube algorithm. If you give this video a thumbs up, like, and also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you